All right, welcome to another edition of After the Whistle. We are here, as you can see. I had to get my
reppin'.
Yeah, I had to get the Bulldogs shirt on. You know, congrats to the Bulldogs, back-to-back EMAS state champs. So they got the state championships Saturday. They're playing against Springfield Central. And I heard they got a kid on that team that's going to Michigan State for football. For Springfield Central. So that's going to be interesting.
No, it ain't. You going for football. It ain't basketball. Chalk it up to us, baby. Talking about.
What did he say? Also, this just happened. The St. Mary's girls defeated Rockland 53-37, and they will play Hoosac Valley in the state final. I don't even know where that is.
All right, cool. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. So that will be for the state title for the Division III girls, and that will happen, I think, Friday or Saturday. Saturday, most likely. And the St. Mary's boys, they're about to tip off in about 5 minutes against Burke High. So, you know, a lot of things happening going. A lot of good things happening. Exciting things. Todd's here.
Alana's here.
Substitute teacher Allana's here. Oh. How you liking those kids?
It's good.
It's good? Yeah?
Okay, let's talk about sports.
Change that subject real quick. That means them kids getting on your nerves. It's all good. Speaking of somebody getting on somebody's nerves, apparently the Nets coach somebody was getting on his nerves with one of the new members of the team, and they mutually agreed to part ways. Every time they said that, I'm just like, all right, y'all fired him. Mutually agreed to part ways is just a nice way of saying y'all got rid of him. And it was a surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a surprise for one. They're 7th in the East, so they're not like an awful team that he feels that he has to leave or else his job's on the line. But when you're dealing with two superstars and they came there to change the culture, they're going to have their hands, they're going to be a little bit more hands-on. And I don't really know who this Atkinson guy really is, so I think they want to get another coach in there that kind of has a better resume, who's more well-known, maybe a Mark Jackson, who can understand them guys, and he's from New York.
Right, and to give the Brooklyn Nets wins, right? And this came at an interesting time because he found out basically 12 hours right before when they went up against San Antonio. So,
yeah, it's but he seems to be a pretty decent coach. He's 4 years with the Nets, and they've improved each and every year that he's been head coach. The first year they only won 20 games. Second year 28 games. Last year they won 42 games. The winning just kept increasing, and they did make the playoffs last year. I think they played the Sixers, and yeah, they played the Sixers. They played them tough, but the Sixers were just too much. And then you see, it seems like he's the kind of guy that could coach players that are kind of like brushed to the side. Those players, they're not like A-level talent. They're like B players, but he could get A-level performances out of them.
I agree. I definitely agree with that based on what he had to deal with. I'm sorry, what he had on the roster. But I don't like how this happened because it's hard to find coaches that could help develop teams and improve year after year after year. You see too many coaches getting fired from teams being bad year after year after year, and you got a decent guy. I get it. Some personalities might have clashed, but you should just gave him a decent shot at least. He's not a bad coach.
He's not. And it was really vague when the general manager, Sean Marks, he made a couple of statements, and it didn't explain why they're replacing him, just because they said that they had a conversation and it seemed very vague. Quote, he said, he has taken us to where we stand today, and I think the discussions that he and I had were what's best for the Nets for a variety of reasons, which I don't think either one of us will get into. But it's time for another voice in the locker room, and it's time that we both part ways. But let's get into it. I want to know.
I'll tell you why. Either Kyrie or Kevin Durant went up to the general manager and said, this guy can't be our coach. He can't lead us. One of them dudes must have did that. They must have had a conversation with the GM, because whenever two high-level players come to a new team and the coaches get gone, it's one of those players. Now, Kevin Durant, I'm thinking is more, the other headache, because Kevin Durant, he's dealt with coaches that he's never had issues with coaches in his entire career. Even when he got Scott Brooks, there was a lot of criticism of Scott Brooks' styles, but Kevin Durant really never had any issues or anything go to the media that we know of him and Scott Brooks' coaching style. So I'm thinking this is all on Kyrie Irving, and this is just another bad look for him.
We're living in this world where I feel like players just can't be players and coaches just can't be coaches and GMs just can't be them. Everybody's trying to prove that they're smarter than everybody. Just stay in your lane and just play for the guy for a year, and if it doesn't work out, then you could ask for him to leave. But you didn't even give yourself a chance at least.
I know, they didn't have a full healthy roster. I mean, this team, these guys been hurt most of the part, and Kyrie missed like 20-something games before he got the surgery, to the season-ending surgery. So it's like, your reputation in the league right now is not that great, because it's like you wanted it, you forced yourself out of Cleveland. Then you burned every bridge in Boston, and you wanted to start a fresh start here, and it's not going as planned. And
keep making headlines.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons. So, the next coach, good luck. Good luck to the next coach that wanted to take that job, because I think more so dealing with Kyrie Irving, it's going to be. And this is me saying this. I spent all years defending him. I spent all last year defending him, and look where we are now. Look how life comes in full circle. Jeez Louise, come on, Kyrie. All right, so we got all this stuff happening with coronavirus, and now the NBA announced they're going to be closing the locker rooms to media,
along with NHL.
Along with other
MLS.
Yeah, this coronavirus is.
It's smart.
It's smart.
They're making these decisions they're getting ahead of it, because what happens if your player does get affected? What happens if your coach gets affected? You're risking spreading it along everyone to your team, but also when you go up against other teams, So it's smart. You need to wash your hands. You need to cover your mouth. You need to sneeze in your elbow. These are things that you should be doing anyway, but now because this virus is spreading and having an outbreak that's going crazy, we need to continue what we need to do.
It's going to take effect on a whole lot of sports, because I've already seen there's been some cancellations of other sporting events, but for the NBA at least, the next precaution is what? Playing with no fans in attendance.
That's crazy, because that's how you make your money.
Yeah,
for the most part. But about that, I'm glad they're doing this, because you know me. This is why I don't touch people, because people are nasty people. I watch somebody sneeze in their hand and watch them leave. Don't try to shake my hand. I'm gonna tell you, you didn't wash your hands. That's just how I am. Just because you see all this nastiness, too many people let others slide for their nasty habits. But the NBA, NHL, they need to do more as in regards to, they need to get, maybe their team's media in there just to, I want to say, get the story, and then they can go out there and tell the local papers and Globes or whatever, because there's too many random people in these locker rooms nowadays, to the point that you really don't know where these papers are from.
Yeah, there's like 100 different type of.
The only problem with that is if you get the reporters that are team media, is that they're somewhat bias and they don't report on certain things. They're not going to ask certain questions because they're somewhat told not to in private meetings. But you can have the team media and selected reporters from different affiliates. I think that would be important to bring in. But it's still risking. At
this point, they might as well just do Skype or FaceTime post-game interviews or something like that, because it's, everybody's being quarantined at this point. I mean, shoot, the whole country's quarantined right now.
See, that's why I'm still here. I'd have been flying back in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll talk a little more about what is it, like C19 or whatever?
I heard it was C19, then I heard of C17.
Right.
So I don't know if there's different types of coronavirus.
Oh, yeah, there's different,
there's like corona light and regular?
I don't know, light regular. But I've heard that, you know how you hear about the flu, that there's different types of flus that you get? I think it's A and B. Is that the different choices?
I don't know.
Anyway, but there is different coronaviruses.
It sounds like
also just going back to, I know this might be swinging to the left, but when people have been talking about how, well, I'm young and I'm a millennial and it doesn't really matter if I should book flights. But either way, if you get affected by it, whoever you are among, your family, your mom and your dad, you can affect them too. So we should still be washing hands.
Or no, let it affect a sport. Let somebody affect a sport, an athlete or something. Ooh, they're going, man.
And we have to put a more selfless thought into this. Stop worrying about you and worry about the people around you.
Yeah,
right.
Because this is all.
You ever seen Outbreak?
Ooh.
Creepiest movie ever saw.
Someone said we're heading towards this I Am Legend type of age right now.
I mean, bro, these movies kind of predict the future to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, we kind of got off topic, but anyways, well, no, we didn't. We was just rambling. Okay, let's get back to some more NBA. Whatever. So the Lakers had a big
weekend,
couple days, and oh my gosh, man! So they had big wins over the Bucks and the Clippers. Mm-hmm. They played well. They get them wins as much as you can. They're trying to completely separate themselves from first place. And now we might as well just give LeBron the MVP now at this point. Mm-hmm. We might that's that seems to be the overall message. Just give him the MVP. And man, I'll let y'all go before I start my little thing because I've had the LeBron cult.
I mean, it's definitely showing that he is a great player, and his 3:30 morning workouts over the summertime is paying off, and he's always been that person that can run the floor and make his name known.
I mean, I like him being in the race. We still can't forget about Giannis because he's putting up stupid numbers. But the Lakers are good, but I don't see them really beating the Clippers. If the Clippers come to play, Lou Williams only has 7 points in this game,
right.
And they only won by 9. Yeah. So with that being said,
Avery Bradley had 24 points.
He was balling. Balling, and that's rare. And he had like two, 3 steals.
Can you count on him?
Oh no, you can't count on him. You can give Green that. You know what I mean? Those numbers in some games, but you don't really know what Bradley's going to bring. So I don't know. It's still up in the air with me.
I hate the MVP talk because they start this talk in November and then they just keep dragging. I'm like, yo, can we just wait until the season's over and we look at the overall everything? Because I was called a hater the other day by one of these LeBron cults because –
on Twitter again?
Of course, on
Twitter.
Twitter.
It's always on Twitter with you.
On Twitter. Not a Twitter.
Oh man, the LeBron cults so I was called a hater because I was watching TV and this guy made the dumbest case for giving LeBron MVP. He said LeBron should be MVP because he had to deal with that whole China thing, that China scandal, and the passing of Kobe, and LeBron is carrying LA on his back right now. And Giannis don't have to deal with that. I'm just like, what in the world does that have to do with MVP?
That's what I had mentioned last episode, is that the narrative and the story, and that's what people are really going to buy into. Yes, it's the points, and yes, it's what you're doing on the court, but what are you doing off the court? So, yes, I do believe, honestly, a lot of people are believing that because the Kobe speech that he gave, how he raised to that occasion, well, not occasion, but something that really tragedy happened to LA, how basically LeBron is bringing the city back together. It's the narrative.
But when did we start giving MVPs to things outside of the court?
Yeah, it's always been.
No, it's all been what you do on the court. It's never been what you do outside of the court.
Isn't that a separate award though? Isn't that like humanitarian award? Like
they got awards for that.
So all that stuff don't matter, but they're trying to find all these little factors just to give somebody a better case. No, reality, it's about what you do between them lines. Yeah. That's it.
And what I also said was like they're just saying anything to give LeBron MVP. They're just creating everything called hater. But somebody pointed this out to me. The past 4 or 5 MVPs led the league in PER stats. Mm-hmm. You know who leads the league in PER? Not LeBron.
I know. He's like number 9 on the list.
Yeah, and then Giannis is putting up
he's up there.
Like they're saying this season that Giannis is putting up is like it's similar. It's almost crazy like a Wilt type of season. Like it hasn't been done in a while.
And let's be honest, Anthony Davis is number 1 in almost everything on the Lakers except for assists. So that's what I was saying last week. Was it last week? Yeah. And I was talking about his numbers. They aren't really gaudy, but sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah, and now using stats and some facts, you say that you would think, but I'm telling you, if you said what you just said, if you wrote what you just wrote on Twitter, they would call you a hater. The LeBron cult will call you a hater for pointing that out because for some reason, and apparently Chris Middleton all of a sudden became a better player than Anthony Davis?
Never. I like Chris Middleton. He's a great role player. He's hit the ceiling with his number 2 position. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to be that great
either.
as a number 2. Like, let's be honest, the second best player on your team. I expect him to be like the glue guy or the third man.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
Yeah, so yeah, the LeBron cult was telling people that Chris Middleton is better than Anthony Davis. Yeah, this is stuff that actually people actually say with the straight, and I'm just like, wow. What?
Anthony Davis has a chance of being one of the best basketball players we've ever saw, if he could ever stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, that's what I was, dealing with the past couple of days with this MVP talk. I'm just like, yo, we need to just let the entire season play out because we just, you can't just give it to them after 2 days. He had a great weekend. They played at home. I mean, of course, granted, the Clippers was technically at Clippers, but they played at home, and that's another thing we got to talk about. If they meet in the playoffs, the Clippers are going to be playing 7 road games. When they play the Lakers, if them and the Lakers meet in the postseason, it's basically going to be home games for the Lakers.
Yeah.
So man, that's
a weird setup.
Yeah, it's very weird, very weird. And then lastly, before I harp on LeBron a lot, but Patrick Beverley said some dumb stuff the other day. He said it's not hard to guard LeBron. I mean, and that's kind of hard to say when he scored 12 points in the fourth quarter to seal the game. It's kind of hard for you to say that, but Patrick Beverley's one of the worst basketball players I've ever watched or I've ever seen, and he's like, someone said he's like an annoying chihuahua. He just he just always barking with little bite.
It's one of those things like when somebody punches you in the face very high and you go, did it hurt? Nah, it didn't hurt, but you're holding your face. It's one of those. He just want to be macho about some things. It's just, come on, bro.
Yeah, come on, get it together, Beverly. He's trash. Speaking of a team that played trash a couple days ago and they got back on track last night with their win over the Indiana Pacers, and they clinched the playoff berth with the win. The Celtics, they had a little bad week last week.
I almost wrote something down, but then I seen they won, so I didn't.
Me too.
Tatum's out there balling.
Yeah, they had a bad week last week. Injuries, some miscues, and terrible losses, and they needed to bounce back after this because they got a tough stretch right now coming up.
No, right. And then if we looked at the previous games, it's been on and off. And I feel like they have been a different team ever since they've come back from London.
When they had a game in London, right?
Yes. So about a month and a half ago.
They must have went to Amsterdam.
Maybe.
But
yeah, I just feel like this team, it's been different.
Yeah,
the momentum.
I just need them to stay healthy because I can't deal with another season of the best players getting hurt. Because right now, Jaylen Brown got the hamstring and he's out. Gordon Hayward had a knee, but it wasn't too serious.
That's why they lost that game the other night because Jaylen wasn't playing. I meant to say that if they'd have had Jaylen, they would have won that other game.
Yeah, and if they boxed out.
Yeah.
And Walker too. He's on the court, off the court, on the court, off the court. The injuries for him, it's like, man, are you going to be able to stay on the court by the time the playoffs comes? Because it's a little scary right now.
We might need to consider low management for some of our players because we actually have players that try to play 82 games.
Yeah.
So with that being said, they might need to sit down a couple towards the end of the season.
Right.
Yeah, and they're in a good spot right now where they are. They've clinched the playoff spot. They're the number 3 seed right now. They still got a chance to be number 2 because ain't nobody catching Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 53-12. Nobody's catching them. But 46. The Raptors are 46-18. The Celtics 43-21. They still got a chance to catch up with them.
They definitely do.
Yeah, so they need. But the load management, I agree because we can't. I can't deal with another postseason with an unhealthy roster because I might lose my mind after that. But yeah, here's their next 3 games. They're at Milwaukee this Thursday. Then they got the Wizards, the Bulls, the Knicks. Those should be 3 wins. Should be. But the Bulls been playing. They've been playing well, but they just stink. But they've been playing well. And then after the Bulls, March 20th, they are at Toronto, which is that's a key matchup. So, I mean, if they could get, 4 out of 5 games in this, they could move themselves up to the number 2 seed. And, we'll see what happens there. But nobody's separated themselves yet to be, like, the favorite in the East. Some would say Milwaukee, but they could kick rocks. All right. Joakim Noah signed a 10-day contract. Yeah. With the Clippers, yeah. Joakim Noah.
It's good to have a body. You got 6 fouls, get you a couple rebounds, a couple layups. They're just looking for a bunch of pieces, man. That's all they need, a bunch of pieces.
I'm hoping he's done with his sabbatical because, Joakim was out there. He was out there in his sabbatical getting a little.
I had no clue.
Yeah, but
this contract will, start next week, and officially he can't talk about it at all.
But we can. So the Clippers, one of their issues is size down low, defending the rim. Because once somebody gets by one of those guys on the perimeter, it's they don't really have a shot blocker.
Right.
I mean, Zubac, he can barely jump over a freaking nickel. So I don't think so. Montrezl Harrell, I mean, he's not really a shot blocker or something. He's like one of those that help side defender. Like he could come and help, so the Lakers exposed that Sunday. They got a lot of driving to the basket and finding an open man.
I mean, they list him as a center, don't they? A power forward / center. Yeah. Like he's like 6'9", right?
Yeah. You
need a big. So Joakim Noah, 7 feet tall. You might as well give him a look.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a body.
And I'm sure he's not a scorer, so he could focus on defense and rebounding. And
I mean, over the course through his NBA 12 seasons, his rebounds is about 9.1, and the points he's making is 8.8. So he's making up more on rebounds.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, they're so deep, but so in the playoffs their rotation will get smaller, but they got enough bodies to throw at you that'll wear you out. And that gets exhausting when you're seeing different defenders and then their best players come in, they're fresh, and you're tired. That's going to be overwhelming. Also, some NBA news. Jusuf Nurkic is set to make his return this Sunday, and this is big for him because that injury, that was like...
his leg fracture.
Yeah, that almost looked like he could never play again. That's like a career-ending injury, and for him to actually be on the road to come to playing again, it's good for him and good for the Blazers because they're missing that.
Missing him is the reason why they've been so bad. Like he's legit the reason why they've been so bad.
Yeah, because they got Whiteside, but Whiteside's not him.
Well, my bad. Sorry, not having him is why they were so bad. And I'm glad he's back because when he was playing, averaged almost 16 points, 10 rebounds.
Which both were career highs for him.
And he's one of those European players that can actually, if he grabs the ball, he can start a fast break. He could lead it, so that could help CJ and Damian Lillard out, so they don't have to have the ball all the time, and they could come off picks. And he could create too. That's one thing he could do. He could create. It's big for them. And they just need a big body.
Yeah, like when people are talking about how bad Portland is, I'm like, yo, you forget Nurkic is injured. He was their big.
Yeah.
So now that he's back, hopefully they could do some things the last couple games, but just get ready for the next season.
Yeah, they need to call this season a wash. I mean, sometimes this could be good for a team, but they're right now where they stand, they're only 3 games out of the 8th spot, but. Do you really want to get the 8th spot? Because that's guaranteed first-round sweep.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
So kudos to Nurkic. You see the press conference? He was like in the midst of tears. He was about to cry.
Nah, I seen some quotes about it, and he said he wanted to cry.
I don't blame him. Like that's his like career right there. So.
And they probably put him in perspective for him.
Yeah.
I mean, having a gruesome injury like that, he's probably never had an injury that bad.
Yeah.
And able to get back.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Yep. So we're going to talk some NFL right now. I think free agency starts next week, if I'm correct, the 18th, which is next Wednesday, I believe. A week from today, free agency begins. The Tom Brady saga, whatever. But so the NFL has moved the deadline to franchise players for the franchise tag to Monday.
Right.
And then there's negotiations. The NFL has already put out the negotiations, the deal for a new CBA. And it looks like the players are all not agreeing or are not seeing eye to eye with each other on this deal. And it seems like there might be a lockout after during the 2021 season. It looks like there might be a lockout.
You know what I said, man? They better figure it out. NFL, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how many years they have, but they need to figure this out because you got parents don't want their kids to play. You got other sports getting covered. You know what I mean? You got other kids playing other sports. Like I said, years ago, football was so big. Now football's not as big. So they need to figure it out. And
the NFLPA, the Players Association, they need to figure this out too. They need to figure out this vote of what they want to do because they want more, but they seem to not even there's infighting, and they seem to not even have a focus on what they want to agree upon. So it's gonna be like, look, lockout, and then the top tier guys are gonna be fine, but then those other guys, it's like.
And what is the point of adding a game or two to the season?
More money.
But
more people in the seats, more commercials.
But how many players' health are they going to risk for that?
Man.
That's why they get new ones.
Yeah.
But
that's why they continue to recruit.
But I feel bad for the stars because some stars are going to drop if they add these two games.
Of course. And that's the beauty. I mean, I guess when how they moved the franchise deadline to Monday, a lot of these teams, like, for instance, the Redskins, right? Yeah. Now they have more time to work out different contracts, like, for instance, with Brandon, is they want them on their team. So in ways, it's beneficial. In ways, all of this is not. So depending on what angle you're looking at it.
Yeah, it's, it might be good for teams, but for the players, it's like, what do we want to do? What do we want to do? Do we want to take this deal and, we just have to deal with it, or are we going to hold our ground? Because I don't think if they lock out, a lot of players are going to hold their ground. I'll
be honest, at some point, they need to hold their ground.
Yeah.
They've been taking whatever they want to give them for years. At some point, make a stand.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, but it's all. But people are talking about those guys that aren't making those top tier dollars in the league, or what are they going to do, and how's it going to affect?
At some point, you got to live for something and stand for something.
Yeah.
At some point in your life, so put your foot down and.
Yeah, they need to. That's what the NFL Players Association, they need to have like a meeting with the Baseball Players Association just to see how they do it. Because they found a way to get all the money for their players, and
too, the NFL, they have so many issues, bro, compared to the NBA, the NHL, the MLB. Like, they have so many issues. Like, I don't understand why this sport has so many issues.
All those headshots, I guess. Oh, no, man. All right, so Dak Prescott, apparently he turned down the deal from the Cowboys. This is like the third or fourth deal that he's turned down or whatever. So this one, they said the deal was worth $33 million per season and more than $100 million guaranteed. The complete structure of the contract was not known, but Prescott and his agent, they just didn't sign it.
And he didn't sign apparently because he wants to make as much as Russell Wilson, who's making $35 million, which I understand because Prescott is good.
He ain't got a Super Bowl though,
right? Yeah. But Russell is a whole different caliber. $33 million. So. And
he wants to make more than Jared Goff, because Jared Goff got that $110 million contract, so he wants to make more than him because he feels like he's had a better season last year than Jared Goff. But once again, Jared Goff got the team to the Super Bowl.
How many Pro Bowls did Dak play in too, compared to the others?
I'm not sure.
All right, but also I see on his side because the Cowboys publicly play with your money. Publicly.
Yeah.
So I stand my ground.
Hey man, this is the NFL. This is the NFL game, yo. You see one quarterback. This is
right.
A quarterback sets the bar, and then you're like, oh no, I need to get more than him because Zach could present a case. I had a better season than him last season, so I think I deserve more. So he has a case. Dak has a case to to make more, to get a bigger contract than Jared Goff. But
he knows his worth.
Yeah.
He's not going to just sign any deal, which I think is important because, you know, he hasn't gone to the Super Bowl, but he's talented enough to do that.
And he's seen what they was doing to Zeke all preseason. Like,
and they paid everybody but him.
Yeah.
The Cowboys literally paid everybody but him, and it's like, bro. So they're risking of losing their star quarterback and then losing Amari Cooper. So they need to do something because I mean you can't just let talent like this go.
It's gonna be a bad product when you get out there if you don't have Dak. It's like having a restaurant and not paying your chef.
Right.
Paying everybody else but the guy that makes the food. He's gonna keep your company afloat. Just say.
Everybody comes for the food.
Yeah, legit though. I mean, you gotta pay him. I mean, as much as you don't want to. Especially you paid DeMarcus Lawrence all that money, and he was trash last season. So you gotta pay the guy that actually produced and was on the field the entire season. And so, and it's just weird. Hey, if they don't want to pay him, they could sign they could tag him too. They could give him a franchise tag, and he'd probably get like $27 million for 1 year, but still he has no insurance. Like, you know, you get hurt, then what? So Dallas got to figure that out. Just get starting quarterbacks are hard to find in this league, and you got one. So,
and why is this a topic of discussion? Like, just pay the man.
Pay him. Give him his money. Yo, all right. So the New Orleans Saints and this Taysom Hill thing, I don't understand why they're so infatuated on trying to make Taysom Hill a franchise quarterback, who's a 30-year-old franchise quarterback who has never been a starting quarterback in the NFL with injury issues. But they put a first-round tender on Taysom Hill, so any team that tries to sign him is going to have to give up a first-round pick.
Right.
And the infatuation with Taysom Hill is very, very interesting to me. I don't get it.
I only seen him come in when it needed, like, you know, close yardage plays and stuff like that. So I don't get it. Maybe he does some things in practice that they see in the future. He can be a vital point for the team. But she probably knows more than me about the Saints.
I ain't had my
I'm going to agree. I don't get it, especially for this individual. I agree with you also. Maybe he is doing something during practice that they're like, we need to keep him because once this person leaves, he's going to be that key player. He's going to be the face of this team. Yes, he is older. I mean, whatever the Saints want to do, I support them 100% because they're the ones who are in practice. They're the ones who are watching film. They're the ones who are literally looking at this player every single moment. So they're obviously seeing something that we aren't.
I honestly don't get it. So I'm like, the farthest I could go for him and his passing stats, I could go to when he was at BYU, and I think he had 1 year when he completed 66% of his passes. And then it was, 53, 59, 61, 59. I mean, the infatuation with this guy, I just don't get it. 12 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 7 touchdowns, 3. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. I don't understand why you would want to have a guy who hasn't played quarterback, been a starting quarterback since college. You think he's going to be a franchise quarterback? It doesn't make sense to me. It's weird. That's weird.
Yeah.
I wish I had my paper bag so I could put it over my head just to symbolize those ain'ts. I'm sorry, I got off track. All right, never mind. Josh Norman got signed to the Buffalo Bills after being released by Washington. And, I mean, Josh Norman's best days are behind him because...
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll be honest, when I was reading his name, I forgot he even played. Oh my God. Granted, I get it. It's just one of them things. He's not covered as much as he once was. So I was like, I know he's still in the league, but I knew he still played somewhere. But he had a crazy drop off.
Crazy. Once he left Carolina, everything was going downhill. He took that big contract, and then his stats haven't been the same, and he was like the target. He was the targeted cornerback out there. Anytime, whoever he's covering, that's who we're going after. And I don't know how they're going to use him in Buffalo. He has familiarity with the head coach. But I don't know, man. He's 32 years old. these receivers nowadays are just getting younger and faster, and the best bet for you might move into safety.
Right.
Yeah.
And he only signed a 1-year contract for $6 million, which is
It won't hurt the Bills.
on the lower side.
Yeah, it won't hurt the Bills. Man, gave him some veteran leadership in that secondary, which is a pretty good secondary last year. But
He's coming off his second worst year, right?
yeah,
The year he was injured.
yep. So this is, it's his best days are behind him, and I mean, at least you could go to the bars in Buffalo or something, a tailgate with them crazy folks, because I don't see much good
Well,
happening.
maybe his best days,
No,
even better days,
No.
are ahead of him.
no, that's wishful thinking.
Maybe if you were an offensive player, you might still be able to come back. But when you're backpedaling, you don't improve backpedaling.
At 32, no. Maybe if it was 22, probably, but 32, you just got to move to safety because it's I mean, heck, Bills aren't doing anything anyway, so I guess he could go for the check because he'll probably be watching playoffs from his couch. All right, it's not an NFL offseason until a player gets arrested. And of course, the New York Jets defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams, got arrested trying to board a plane with a loaded gun.
It wasn't loaded.
It wasn't loaded. At first, it was reported it was loaded, but it was not loaded. Why are you trying to board a plane with a gun? That's.
I mean, when you go to the airport, you're supposed to check that.
Did he
First
forget?
thing.
Did he forget the gun was in the bag?
And on top of that, the gun is not registered in New York, so now he's facing that also.
And New York's gun laws are really strict. They have some crazy laws.
Problem when you're from the South, man. It's from Alabama. Their gun laws is totally different.
Yeah.
I think it's like Texas. You're able to carry, like open carry type deal. So, good thing it wasn't loaded. So at least he was smart enough to walk around with an unloaded gun. But I'll be honest, in my world, if I own a gun, it's not going to be unloaded. Then why you have a gun if you ain't gonna be if it's not for safety? That's personal. That's personal. My personal. But yeah.
And it just goes back to why wouldn't you think of checking it? I don't know.
So
Like you forget the gun was in the bag. Like, come
it should
on.
have been in a lockbox in all reality. If you're
Right?
a responsible gun owner,
Yeah.
procedures you go about having a gun. But professional athletes, I don't know what it's like to feel like I gotta look over my shoulder every 2 seconds. So
Aren't you supposed to have?
happen on the plane?
Aren't you supposed to have a security guard?
Hey.
Don't you have somebody for that?
You would think.
You would think, right? You have somebody for that. And aren't there like U.S. Marshals on airplanes and stuff?
No, yeah,
like
they
that?
definitely are, and especially for celebrities like him at that high status, that you would board the plane first or you board the plane last, so you can go right to first class, so people won't see you. So,
and professional athlete, he probably just thought, oh, they gonna see it and not really trip about it.
You thought?
And he's from Alabama, so his way of thinking with guns and stuff is just totally different than us East Coasters.
Come on, man.
Let's keep it real though.
Yeah, they should have like a little seminar for Southern players if they get drafted to.
I feel like a seminar for every.
Yeah, but especially for those.
This is just common sense. I mean, yes, I do understand about you grew up in the South, but come on, it's not common sense.
Oh, how about
You're
this?
boarding a plane.
Why there's separate gun laws state by state? It should be
That's a
one
whole
overall
other
gun
issue.
law.
Yeah.
I'm saying it should be one overall
Right.
gun law. It won't be as big of an issue.
And I mean, you're supposed to read too, like read each state's gun law.
But why you got to read that much? It should be one gun law.
It's. Hey man, we had drunk people who was making these damn things up, who was making these whatever you call laws up when they was doing this. So I mean,
That's why they got to sit back down and redo them.
man, that's a topic for another day. I don't want to ruffle some feathers on why they're not going to change it.
Oh, we know.
All right. Lastly, before we go to +1, the NFL draft is coming up. A lot of things happening in free agency, so teams are going to be making moves, making trades, and positioning themselves. And this one need to open her eyes. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. The Carolina Panthers and the San Diego Chargers agreed to pretty much swap offensive linemen, Trey Turner and Russell Okung. And I feel like Russell Okung gets traded every single year. I swear this guy gets traded all the time. But, I mean, hey, if you're bringing Cam Newton back, you might as well give him some offensive linemen and some protection. So A good move for the Panthers. A lot of the Carolina fans were sad to see Trey Turner go. Apparently, he was a popular player. He was a good player, too. So, protect Cam Newton at all costs?
Yeah. You know me. I'm telling Cam to get out of there.
Man.
So, he wants to stay. The least you could do is show him that you care about his well-being as a football player.
Yeah, and because he's been taking a lot of hits lately. But, yeah, I mean, hey, good move. The Chargers don't even have a quarterback right now. Like, who's their quarterback? They going after Brady? Are they? I don't know. So you got this. You got the tackle, but I don't know.
I heard the 49ers was looking at Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a lot of people looking at Brady.
He's a Cali kid, so.
Yeah, I heard Oakland's looking at Brady. Tennessee Titans looking at Brady. So we'll see, but whatever.
Brady.
Yeah, good trades. I guess it's a good trade for both of these teams, but, San Diego Chargers. LA Chargers could kick rocks, and don't nobody care about them either. All right, we're going to go to +1. We had on Kelsey Nelson on +1, so check it out. Hello and welcome to another edition of the +1 interview. This time we got a special guest, one of my NABJ family from the DMV, Kelsey.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for, taking the time to come on and then chat for this 10 minutes. A busy person you've been.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I don't sleep in the DMV, but hey, it's always better to be in demand. Who needs sleep? It's for the weary, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And now it's March, so March Madness, Selection Sunday coming up, and your alma mater, they've been highly ranked all season. They've got a shot at the national title. I'm talking about the Maryland Terrapins. Tell me about this team this year, because they've had some ups and downs, but consistently they've played well throughout the season. Tell me about this team.
Let me tell you, this is the most excited I've been in a super long time, because everyone knows, like, Maryland basketball, if you're from the area, you live and breathe it. I had been going to games since I was younger, and for the first time in a while, I can finally definitely put my Maryland Terrapins far in my March Madness bracket with certainty, all right? And this is what's exciting, and I think Maryland was a team that I think many had really underrated, and no one was really talking about them before the start of the season. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, it seems like all the pieces came together. And I think this is the Mark Turgeon team that we had been waiting for a long time. If you watch them play, they're playing good quality team basketball. I mean, you look at Jalen Smith. I mean, everything's coming together finally. And it feels like Maryland might just be that team that people are sleeping on that I think might, and let me tell you, I think they could do something in the tournament. Now, if they win it all, I will be surprised and shocked, but they actually have a chance. Yeah. And I'm saying that, like, again, instead of certain. I think Jalen Smith has been playing lights out basketball, and Anthony Cowan Jr., I mean, he's just been playing terrific. And people forgot about him, right, during the Melo Trimble years, but he continued to, grow and evolve. And he's from the area, so he has the backing. But it's a fun time to be a Maryland basketball fan.
And this year in college basketball, no team really separated themselves from one another. I mean, we've had so many number one teams change throughout the season. I mean, right now Kansas has kind of held that role right now, but there's been I mean, there was a week where there was like every week there was a new number one team. So this year in college basketball is like, it's definitely, if you want to sneak a national championship, this is the year.
It's the year to do it. It's the year to bring it home. And I've said this on multiple shows, but like for the first time, you didn't have like your set dominators. I think we haven't had that in a while. Like, I mean, if you're a Tar Heel fan, I'm sorry. No one's scared of you anymore. I mean, it's just that. And I mean, Kansas is good, of course, as they usually are in Gonzaga. But I mean, you have Dayton. Yeah, how many times are we talking about teams from the Atlantic 10 Conference? Let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, it's so many. And even Duke is now no longer like your top favorite to win. And then, I mean, it's just, I think it's a fun time. And I think this is like the first time really where those people who do those crazy brackets really might have a chance, because you just don't know it's anyone's game. And then who knows with this coronavirus going on if we'll even get to see the full extent of March Madness. But this is the year. This is the year. And
also in the Big Ten, I mean, is this the first year they've had, I think, 3 or 4 teams tied for the Big Ten championship?
Isn't that crazy? I mean, you look on the women's side and the men's side, right? And it's like, wow, Big Ten basketball basketball now, I feel like they're finally getting respect because for so long and going to Maryland when Maryland switched over from the ACC to the Big Ten and being a student at that time when that happened, you know, for so long everyone was like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, ACC is basketball territory. That's what we're known for. But now I think when we talk about Big Ten, and having covered the Big Ten tournament, we always say they have good basketball, but I think with those teams tying, now we're saying the Big Ten has great basketball. And I feel like the Big Ten is really starting to get that respect on the basketball side that they get on the football side, which is an exciting time for the Big Ten.
And you could tell, too, because Michigan State every year, the end of the season, it's like it's their time to shine. They did it again. They did it again this season. They just, you know, they went into Maryland, and, I mean, they gave them a whooping. And
hey, you didn't have to bring that up, all right?
but you know this is Michigan State. They always do this every year when people think they're going to be down and out, and they just come out of nowhere and do this. And they got strong leaders on that team.
It's true. I mean, I feel like you can tell they're playing for that one signing moment in their history this year. And like you said, Michigan State is always that team that you can never sleep on because it doesn't matter how good you are, they somehow find a way to show up and bring it to you. And as you said, they came here and stunned my perps during our college game day. That was supposed to be our day, right? Like all the alums came back, SEC was in the building, and they did that to my perps. But don't fear though. I feel Maryland coming back after a salty win like that. I mean, that Michigan State got on them. They have to come back bigger and stronger than ever. So I'm not sleeping on them yet.
hey, I just, you know, Michigan State for some reason end of the season, it's like they hit a switch or something. I gotta
watch you. You have a degree from Michigan State or something? I'm like, you're doing too much clout for them.
I got people. You know, one of my peoples is an alum. My girl.
See, I knew it was some type of connection.
My girl Kristen's an alum over there, an alum of Michigan State, and my other boy Harold is an alum. So you know, I gotta hold them down. Also in the DMV, Georgetown basketball under Patrick Ewing. It seems like they're slowly but surely making improvements. Even though early on in the season they had some players let go or some players left the program, but I think Patrick Ewing is slowly trying to get that team back to where they are because he's had some good recruits come in.
He has, and I think, let me tell you, there is an excitement around Georgetown basketball, kind of like Maryland, that there hasn't been in a while, and that is because of Pat Ewing and what he did for the Georgetown program. And yeah, people have to remember, he came to a Georgetown team after the JP3 era that just wasn't a solid team, right? Like, let's remember that. And Georgetown, we remember the old Georgetown basketball glory days. Some of us haven't let that go. We remember the old Big East basketball days. Again, some of us haven't let that go, but finally he's bringing that excitement back. And I think they've been solid. And you talked about, unfortunately, they had the incident towards the beginning of the season, the sexual assault case, where they did have to let some of their really good players go. But they've been a team that's been solid all around. And you know, with the Big East tournament coming up, I'm excited to see what they do inside the tournament. But again, this is a team that you really have started to respect, and they've had not a great season, not even a good season, but I would classify it as a solid season. And that's credit to Pat Ewing and what he had with that Georgetown team. Because not all coaches could do what he did with that team.
Because he's building something. You know, it's a rebuild mode. This is only year number 2 for him, so he's building. And with all the talent, with all the basketball players and the talent around that area, him being a former NBA player, he can attract some of them and give them the blueprint to go to the NBA. So he has a little edge with recruiting. And so I think Georgetown, maybe under his tenure they'll get back to the Final Four. But since, you know, the last time they was there, I was watching.
Ooh, you're getting me excited.
Watching Jeff Green and them boys. That was,
man, the good days.
Yeah, that was the last time they was there. And even going back to Maryland, the last time, you know, Juan Dixon and Steve Blake and Chris Wilcox.
I know.
That's the last time we seen a championship from them.
And it's crazy. I was just talking with a younger person, and they only knew Juan Dixon because his wife is on the Real Housewives of Potomac. That's how you know it's been so long ago that the Juan Dixon era was. Like, they didn't even know his basketball greatness, and that hurt. But even the drought in college basketball, really professional basketball, too, because the Wizards aren't doing anything. So it's been a drought here, you know, so we're waiting for a team to bring a championship home. I think it will be Maryland before Georgetown. But if Pat can bring back those old glory Georgetown games and get the Capital One Center back full for the Hoyas, it's going to be an exciting time here in the DMV.
Also, now we got college out the way, the professional teams. Your football team and your basketball team. It seems like it's a hot mess over there. It is. What is happening? What is going on with them? Because now,
oh man,
with the draft coming up, they don't know if they want Chase Young or if they want Tua. They're not sure what they're gonna do in the draft, and they got Dwayne Haskins. So it's you got a new coach too. So what should we expect from Washington?
Oh my gosh. All right. So let me put this in layman terms. Washington will be better than they were last season. I have a lot of faith in Ron Rivera.
That's not saying much, though.
That he's making. I mean, hey, look, let me finish. I mean, he's changed the culture around. I feel like it's just a much more serious presence with the Redskins organization. I think when they got rid of Josh Norman, everyone was like, oh, shocker, right? And it was big. But I think Dwayne Haskins, if you see him, he's putting in a lot of work because he knows he has something to prove. His spot is not guaranteed. And I'll tell you, they better get Chase Young in that number 2 draft pick. Not only is he from the area, he wants to play here. He talked about how well the interview went with the Washington Redskins organization. And you talk about what he can add to the Redskins team. It's needed. Now, they need a lot of pieces, but I do think Chase Young is one of those crucial pieces. And also, if we talk about the fan base and bringing the fans back to the games and not having more opposing fans at the games, you've got to get Chase Young because the only other option that I would even want that number 2 pick, and he better not be available, Cincinnati Bengals do not mess it up, of course, is Joe Burrow. I mean, that's the only other. And I like Tua. I don't like Tua for the Washington Redskins organization, especially I think Dwayne Haskins is not bad. I think he just needs work. He has an arm. He can move in the pocket. But he just needs the right people around him. And also, we have to get him some pieces. Let's not forget that. So I think, football side, it will be a while before the Redskins do anything, right? I'm not talking about playoffs or anything, but we just at least want them to get to 500. And I hope they're able to at least work towards that way this season. And then basketball, we have Bradley Beal. Can I say that? I mean, Bradley Beal's playing lights out basketball. We're waiting for John Wall to make his return, but the Wizards are just being the Wizards. We're just trying to do a little something in the East, I guess, is how I would describe it. But shout out to Bradley Beal and having an incredible season. Yeah,
shout out to Bradley Beal. All right, we got to get up out of here, but before we go, plug your social media. Tell them where they can find you.
Sure, I'm so simple on social media, Twitter, Instagram, @TheRealKNelson, and then on Facebook, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, and my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com. So be sure to connect and chat with me, and I love sports today. So, be sure to talk with me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the call. Thank you once again for being the guest, and, talk to you soon.
All right, thanks so much.
All right, have a great one.
Bye.
All right. I don't know what's going on the other side of the table. I don't know. Thanks, Kelsey, for coming on. These two over here. We're
talking about basketball.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Where the heck are we?
Diving right back in about the punch.
Oh, yes. Somebody's about to get punched, apparently.
No.
Oh.
The NCAA.
Oh, March Madness. My bad.
March Madness making. Okay.
Tickets punched. We got 5 minutes, so we just going to scratch that. We're going to go to this Lynn English in Mansfield. We're going to check this out from last night. This is post-game stuff. So, Lynn English, Mansfield. And then, our rundown's all over the place. We got 5 minutes. So, Lynn English, Mansfield, highlights, kind of.
Hey, it's an amazing feeling. It's good to be back here. And we worked so hard, and we came this far to not lose. So, we working.
It feels good, man. To be back here on this floor, man, it's special. We got guys just let us, man. We drawn out fouls out in the fourth quarter. And guys hold the ship together, man. I think that's what this team is about. Any given night, it can win anyone.
You see, that's my first time. I'm so happy. I want to get a champ. That's what it is. Yes, sir.
We defended, man. I think guys listen. I think that was the biggest thing for us was guys paying attention, guys locking in on defense, and we're able to slow them down a bit.
This is the era of the greatest of Lynn English High School basketball, I think.
We've had some great teams, football, basketball, but this run coming here 2 years in a row and then going to the States again on Saturday,
super
overwhelming.
We'll have a big rally on Friday.
Yeah. This team is in the top 5 that I've seen. I've been around a long time. I'm talking the classical teams, the whole bit. They're definitely in the top 5. The Salem teams.
Absolutely.
This is a very good basketball team.
Antonio does a great job, right? And it's not one player or 2 players. It's a starting 5, and the guys that come in all do a great job.
One more to go, man. That's what we come into the season for. You know what I mean? We try not to talk about things like that. But this was our goal. Our goal is to get back to where we were last year, man. And we'll see what's going on Saturday.
We came this far, and we're not going to quit. We're not going to back down. We're going for back-to-back.
All right, we are back. All right, NBA top 10 NBA plays from the past couple of days. Yeah. And we are back. We only got a couple minutes. All right, so back to the C-19 effects. Yo, C-19 sounds like some type of gun or some type of bomb. It sounds something dangerous.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, dangerous. So I'm just seeing right here. We got a minute. Never mind. Whatever. There's canceling sporting events. Ivy League canceled their tournament. The Ohio Valley or whatever, no large gatherings in Ohio, which includes the first 4 in Dayton in the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a statement made by NCAA about this stuff. It's
everywhere, even in school systems. Yeah. So Harvard doesn't want their students to come back after spring recess.
Roger Williams, yeah. UMass Amherst as well.
This puts a lot of students who are out of the country who are attending these schools in a predicament. Like, what am I going to do?
Well, all we got to say is wash your hands, use some soap, personal hygiene.
Stop being nasty.
That too.
Stop being gross, people.
Man,
come on.
Come on. This is stuff we should have learned a long time ago. Clean up after yourselves. Any last words before we get out of here?
Nope. Have a great weekend.
I'm going to bring my paper bag next time for those Saints.
Oh, good luck, English.
Yeah, Saturday state tournament. It's at Worcester. I'll be there.
What time?
I don't know.
All right.
You going to be there?
Afternoon time, probably.
Maybe.